In this episode, we look at a Sony A99, the Nikon D600, and we all ride ladies' bikes.
Sony, at the heart of Nikon's image. But who makes the better bits that are connected to the sensor? Nikon or Sony? We're comparing the A99 and this, the D600 today.
Nikon doesn't make it crystal clear who makes the sensor in their D600, but we weren't born yesterday. They should be packing essentially the same sensor underneath those shells, but which one of these 24 megapixel full-frame DSLRs are worth your cash?
We've come out for a little bike ride and barbecue today, but unfortunately the barbecue is probably not going to happen. We only had girls' bikes. This is not mine. It's called Zeta. Hope that doesn't somehow happen to fall into the sea. It's not mine.
Give it $10 to jump over there.
I'll give you $11. Sorry, but what is this sign? It's a slightly weighty lady shitting on a hump. That's the public toilet. There's a whole load of shit from hundreds of people. You know, photography is an art, but sometimes it's nice to take pictures of weird signs of aunties taking a shit on a hump. A shit hump. The Sony A99 is fugly. It looks like an old Minolta camera that's just been melted around the sides. Not a good looker, but having said that, the D600 from Nikon is not exactly a looker itself. But anyway, these cameras are not meant to be lookers. They're for practicality reasons, aren't they? Same reason as a photography vest. But brick outhouses aren't meant to look good. They look like brick outhouses. But at least this is built like one. Really quite solid, made of mostly magnesium, with the top and rear bits magnesium and rest filled with plastic, just like the D600. And they both have some kind of weather sealing. Don't know how much. Not allowed to test it. They told me not to test it. So maybe if we get 1 million likes within 2 weeks, we'll pour water on it and piss on it or something like that. Because if we destroy it, then I have to buy it.
According to Nikon, the D600 has the same weather sealing as the D800.
It's great, isn't it, taking pictures when you've got wheels? We should do more of this next time, Locke, on the streets. In terms of body features, there's not much to pick at between the two cameras. They've both got enough stuff for camera geeks like us. Bam! Locking mode dial. Dials on the front. Dials on the back. 2 SD card slots. But if you've got any memory stick duo cards that you've got lying around because they're of no use these days, you can use it in the Sony. Yes, the Sony has got 3 user settings here, customizable. 1, 2, 3. The Nikon D600 has only got 2. But at least with the Nikon you've got U2 there, so Bono will probably pop out and ask for some money for charity or something like that. But dude, there's more. The Sony's got a twiddly knob here, which is pretty good. It looks stupid, but it's actually pretty good. You can customize it. Hold it for a moment, and you've got these customizable options. Oh, that's brilliant, isn't it? So you can have that at the flick of your little finger. Well, not your little finger, your index finger. Pedantic. One of the obvious differences is that this has got an EVF, which has got over 2 million dots inside of there. You can just count them if you've got really kind of macro-like eyes. Nikon has an optical human retina screen inside, in that it's got as many pixels as your eyes can possibly fathom. Good job Nikon didn't put a screen in there, it'll probably be a bit green. But the EVF's not too bad, it's a little bit darker. But at least when you change the exposure, you actually see what you're gonna get. It's also got a tilty flippy screen on the Sony. Look at that. It tilts and it flips, hence the name, although that's not actually the formal name for it. I just call it that. because it tilts and flips. It's quite handy to call it that. And then that's pretty much it. Oh no, of course, the hot shoe. Oh, it looks like a normal one, but of course Sony did another hot shoe first, which was you can only use their accessories, but now it's just a standard one, so you can use normal hot shoe accessories. So it's new, but it's old at the same time. But it's also got some tiny little pins in there. That means you can add Sony accessories onto that bit there.
The Sony does have most of its backside buttons on the right hand side, so when you're riding on a bike and taking pictures you can shoot and review all with a one hand on the backside action. If you expected me to be nice about the Sony, then I'll say that it's quite a well thought out design for people who want their twiddly bits in the most convenient place. But for those not expecting me to be nice, here's some more video of me showing you what it looks like.
It's like in terms of the actual use of the camera, they're both cameras, for God's sake. No need to pick at these little things. But what you should pick at is the way they perform. Let's go find out.
On paper, the Sony seems to offer quite a lot.
Now we're going to do a little bit of action with both these cameras now. They're both kind of suited to action. They've got a reasonably fast burst rate. This one's got 6 FPS, the Nikon has got 5.5. Now they say this has got a 10 FPS burst rate, but that's bollocks because it's in crop mode. But of course it does have a 10 FPS burst mode, but it's in crop. You're buying a full frame camera to shoot crop. Now this has got 19 autofocus points, 11 cross type. Yes, I'm ready. I'm using live view here.
The Sony is quick. It does seem incredibly snappy and willing to focus, giving you those green squares of focus confirmation in a split second.
It's the Nikon next. Right, here we go. Well, I tried the 24-70 with this and it was still kind of a little bit sluggish. So, of course the 51.4G is not particularly fast at focusing. So I'm not really expecting much. Oh, I just stepped into something there. Oh, some of it was in focus. That's pretty good. That's actually quick for a change.
Auto-focusing with the D600 is decent enough when you have decent enough light. But as it turned out, A99 with its 50mm 1.4 tends to have a habit of choosing to focus on the background, which is alright if your subject is in the background, but it's not in this case. You get AF micro adjustment with the Sony, but that's for slight errors with certain lenses. It's not a misalignment causing back focus or front focus issue, it's just not always smart enough. Well, in the dim light, although the AF of the Nikon isn't so good, the Sony fared a little worse with a bit more hunting. NR on standard, and the Nikon's files look quite phenomenal compared to the Sony. From ISO 3200 to 6400, the A99's file shows signs of noise creeping into low contrast areas. Up above that, and it's all one way, plus the Sony loses out on some details. But as it started to pour down, we did a drug-free ride back to the shelter. But hang on, I can't leave the review at this. Other people think I'm just dissing the Sony. Balance. Find some balance. What about some benefits of the EVF and see-through mirror tech?
But the thing is, it's a translucent mirror, and I would have thought that it has some advantages to it. Like viewfinder blackout, which it still suffers from. It actually does black out for a lot longer than a DSLR. I mean, you know, one of the mirror.
So what is the main reason for having the Sony over the Nikon?
What's that about your bum? What hurts?
The bone.
Oh, I thought it was your bum.
The bum bone.
Great, that's on camera.
For shooting video, I think I prefer the A99 over the D600. It's those little things that make you wonder why Nikon bothers doing things like they do, as much as I like their DSLRs. The Sony offers good quality video, in-body IS, and generally a much better functioning video feature. You know, even the built-in stereo mic is surprisingly good when compared to other DSLR standard mics.
What's that about your bum? What hurts?
The bone.
Oh, I thought it was your bum.
The bum bone.
Great, that's on camera.
the AF works quite nicely in video mode, pleasantly surprising. One has got to thank Sony. They make sensors for Nikon after all. Now seriously, the A99 is interesting. Interesting how? Well, it's bloody weird. The concept of it is weird, even though this isn't their first SLT and it's no surprise. Of course, there's still the obvious problems like the inherent issues you get with putting a semi-transparent mirror in front of the sensor, but it works overall quite nicely, albeit with a sometimes schizo AF. It offers a lot of stuff. It's responsive and it's great for shooting video. But the Nikon is quite a fantastic choice. The initial novelty has worn off since we've had a look at it in quite a number of videos now, but I can't deny that this is one thoroughly decent full-frame camera for photography. I'm not going to tell you which one to go for, that's up to you. If you like Sony, or what the A99 offers, good for you. Given a choice, there's definitely one I'd rather take home.